And welcome to Apex Esports League. I'm JT. Tonight we've got the opening round for iRacing with the Pagnian Imports Ferrari 488 Championship. And for the 4-round series, round 1 is at the Red Bull Ring GP. And we did just conclude the final round of the series for the Super 2s. So being great to see the guys get over into the Ferraris and put it into their paces around some different tracks. So the session tonight, we've got Red Bull Ring GP. We've got 10 minutes of practice, then 10 minutes of qualifying and a 40-minute race. Fuels are capped at 47%, so the drivers will need to head in for a pit stop. Weather conditions are partly cloudy and it is a standing start. And at the conclusion of last week's round, we had Steve Denby become the Pagnian Imports Super 2 Series champion, taking the win with 597 points. Not too far behind was Greg Salon. And the final race was at Bathurst Mount Panorama, and Greg Salon taking a clean sweep in the final round. So well done to Greg. So I will be jumping over to the track now. The drivers are loading in, and I will get us some audio up. Hopefully should have a few newcomers to the league. We've had a fair few new members joining up over the course of the last few days. It's currently got 12 loading into the session. And if you are just joining us for the stream, do jump into the chat, say hello, tell us who you're cheering on for. And then we'll make our way through the grid. And we're going to see what the guys came up with for their liveries for these cars. And just before, Nathan Peters jumping into the chat saying he's having issues with his VR headset. So he's trying to get that all sorted so he can make it into the race. There's 4 minutes remaining of practice. Then the drivers will have 10 minutes of qualifying. And there are championship points on the line. There's 25 points available for pole position. So it is crucial to getting off to a good start to the championship to try and get that pole position. And Tony Vaselis with Downshift Racing. And Hardigan coming out of the pits at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how many regulars that we get across that may actually have the car and track. Red Bull Ring being a more recent track. And this is the legacy version of the Ferrari 488 GT3. And it is a lovely car to drive. Russell Gander is just set up a new team, so Full Throttle Racing. Troy Monson also with Midline Sim Racing. Cesario. And Jai Schultz, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name, Jai. He is debuting with Apex Esports League tonight. Lovely looking Mobile 1 livery on that Ferrari. So all the best to Jai in his debut tonight. Corey Brand, who had debut with us in the Super 2s. Also in the KFC Century Motorsport racing car. Jump on board for a lap with someone in a moment. He's got the quickest time out there. Fastest so far is Sebastian Vandel. He's set a 1:29.875. If you're joining us for the stream, don't forget to hit that follow button. We do go live with iRacing on Monday night, 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time, as well as Project Cars 2 on Thursday nights, same time. Okay, lap time, see if we jinx him. We usually jinx the drivers once we jump on board. Nice wide line to get some great speed. Very quick down on the pit straight. Lovely technical track, very fast. And very well suited to the Ferrari 488. And into the hairpin, up into the back section of the track. Done nicely. And then another big long hairpin in through the infield of the track. We're not going to be able to see that full lap finish up. We'll try and stay on board for a full lap around. Stay with Sebastian. Get the view on the way out from the pits. Very tight pit lane. Very slippery as he's coming out on those cold tyres. Sebastian's not letting up at all. He's got another couple of drivers loading up into the session. Hit that curve nicely around the first hairpin. Ferrari holding quite nicely considering it is the out lap. A little bit slippery as he goes out a tad wide. Maybe lost him as he was coming into the final corners. That is where the pit entry is as well. Final corner. Very cautious the drivers will need to be. Once they get into the race, they will be finding cars out on that racing line, wanting to make their way across. The drivers just crossing the line now, so they'll be out there for their first timed lap. Who else we've got? Concessions to Daniel Gomes. And Petrona's livery. Kellen Hodgkinson. Full throttle. Make sure we've covered all drivers. And Matt Hardigan. Sure. markings is on his car, but can't see the best on mine. Okay, first time lap's coming through. Sebastian takes pole, setting a 1:29.390. Russell Ganders just crossed the line on a 1:32. Sebastian being one of the first to get out on track. Currently 14 cars out on track. They're going to have some nice amount of spacing. Jai Schultz comes through for 1:37.57. Daniel Gomes in with a 1:30 as well, just sneaking into second position. When you join into the stream, there is a bunch of sound effects controls down underneath the stream. So you can actually play a variety of sound effects over the stream. So that way you can applaud, cheer, boo as the race goes on, so do have some fun with that. Oh, just can hear some wall contact being made, someone's gone off. That was Callan Hodgkinson and Blake, not sure if there was contact between the two. That would have been possibly Blake's first time to lap, the same as Callan. Sebastian's brought the car in, still holds that pole position time. Getting in a 1:29.3. Daniel Games in with the 1:30s as well as Jai. And Aaron Maguire in fourth with 1:31.840. Hopefully Nathan has some luck getting his VR headset working, so he can get out onto the track in time. Otherwise he may be able to join in the session later, but he would be starting possibly a couple of laps down, depending on how long it takes him to get going. Ooh, Sebastian very broad on that infield hairpin. That's going to invalidate his lap time. And it doesn't take damage, so he's not going to want to bring the car back and reset, because there's only 4 minutes left, so it's only going to give him the possibility of 1 or 2 qualifying laps. And Stephen Banks has snuck up with a 1:32.14, 2 tenths quicker than Daniel Gomes. But they almost goes off same spot where Sebastian did, so there's probably a little bit of debris out on the track. And then a little bit loose going through there. And it was just going through where Stephen just slid out, and that's where Sebastian did. So I do think that's possibly where we may have had the incident go with Blake and Callan, so maybe a fair bit of sand spewed out on the track. We are just waiting on Callan and Blake to get a time on the board. Sebastian still holding that pole position. Blake with a bit of traffic up ahead. I'm not sure if this is his out lap. And I'm not sure if Stephen Banks may have disconnected, same with Aaron Maguire. There seems to be a connection loss going on for them. There you go, and thanks for joining us. There's 2 minutes left for the session, so if there has been a connection issue for Stephen and Aaron, hopefully they can get back in for race commence. Callan and Blake should be getting a time on the board now. Callan crosses the line, qualifying in 7th. There's a minute 40 remaining of qualifying. That's going to allow him to get one, maybe an extra lap in for qualifying. Blake just crossed the line. That time didn't count for him. He needs to get a time on the board. He's currently qualifying in 14th. And Stephen and Aaron still disconnected currently. Sebastian holds pole position with just under a minute remaining for qualifying. It's going to be off to a good start for the opening round for the Pagnian Imports Ferrari 488 Championship. Matt currently qualifying in 5th. His first driver in with the 131s. Matt Sarah is just, I think, well, may have been Cullen. He's popped up, there's a car parked up on the side there. Troy currently in pit lane. So that's the session finishing. A few drivers already readying up to head over into the race. The drivers may have enough time to be able to finish up these last laps to be able to qualify. Blake got a time on the board as a 1:36. So he should have enough time to be able to complete this last lap. He's about halfway through the lap. Hey Mick, thanks for joining us for the stream. So we just have Sebastian. He's bringing the car into the pits. Daniel crosses the line. Blake's bringing up for his final lap. Not sure what happened with Stephen and Aaron. Whether there was a connection issue for them. Once Sebastian has exited the car, it'll load over, ready for the race start. Then we have Sebastian Vandel qualifying pole, and it did just quickly refresh into the incorrect order there. It does that as the cars all grid up. Hopefully we see Aaron and Stephen back in. No, yes, Stephen Banks has loaded back in, and same with Aaron Maguire. So the driver's got a minute 20 to hit that ready button, just waiting on two drivers, Blake and Callan, to get their setups all set. And it is custom setups for the series. They have full control. There's unlimited fast repairs for the drivers. And there's 17 incident points will require a stop and go. And driver quickly jumping back out of the car, obviously forgetting to change their setup. Shot for the start. There we go. See if we can keep that. We're just waiting on here. All the drivers hit ready. It's about to see the start for the opening round, the Pagnian Imports Ferrari 488 Championship.
Green, green, green.
And green lights, and away we go. A little bit of a slip down the middle. We've got 4 wide down the back, a little bit of edging going along, door to door. Sebastian gets away pretty quick. Sounds like a little bit of contact. Someone's gone off rather wide through turn 1. Sebastian having a fantastic start. Stephen Banks sticking in position 2, but he's feeling a lot of pressure from Daniel Gomes. He's sitting right on his tail very early. He's going for an outside pass. Stephen switches across. Then Daniel positions himself on the outside. It's going to be tough to be able to side by side. They're door to door. A little bit of a tap. Tyres a little bit cold. That first lap always a little bit slippery. Looks like a pretty good start to lap 1. Look at Sebastian absolutely flying away out front. If he can keep some consistent lap times like we saw in practice and qualifying, he's going to be pulling away, especially while Stephen and Daniel are battling it out for position 2. And then a battle going on for P4 here. Jai and Tony both side by side. And Jai gets out ahead. Ulla's been instant between Stephen Banks and Ulla. There's a big flip going on at the back. Not sure who that is. I think it is a huge hit. Not sure who got wrecked. I think it was Matt. We'll jump onto the replay and just see what went on there. So I'll have to rewind. Well, that's a significant smash. And being flipped straight over and instantly being towed. So we'll call caution for that.
Yellow flag is out.
Just bring my controls back up. So it's going to allow the pack to close back in. So it was some door-to-door action with Daniel Gomes and Stephen Banks running out wide. Might even try and find back just to where they went off. So while the safety car is out, we'll jump on board and see how this incident happened. See if we can get a better view. So Daniel Gomes shunting Stephen Banks, and then rollover is quite a hefty hit. So it'll be a hefty penalty situation for Daniel Gomes. Stephen Banks still in the pits as he's end up requiring a tow. Sebastian was getting a very good lead. He's pulling away very quickly just for a lap out. A significant incident to be done on the last corner of lap 1. Very unfortunate. Sorry, we can try and jump on board for a onboard view for that replay. We might jump on with Daniel Gomes. So we'll jump on. Just see who it was that we actually had. Here we are on track, on board with Daniel Gomes. Turns in, bit of a tap, and rolls back out, and a head on. That is a hefty crash. Huge hit. It's quite surprising that that car was able to be able to drive away like it did. It's not a great start for Stephen Banks. He should be out of the pits now. It's the fast repair being able to get his car up to scratch, get back out on track. That's going to see him a lap down. Matt Tesserio also being a lap down. I do believe that was him that was coming through to make that head-on collision in the end. And he did have to tow in. So the grid standings, we have Sebastian Vandel leading. Jai Schultz, his debut race with us tonight, in second position. Callan Hodgkinson in third. Aaron Maguire up in fourth. And Blake Urquhart managing to get up into fifth position. He's having a very good first lap, getting into a nice position after having a few dramas in qualifying. Russell Gander in sixth position. We might even be able to shorten these laps, safety laps up. We're getting Stephen the wave around. So we won't shorten that. It's going to allow him to catch up. One more safety lap. That's going to be enough time for Stephen to be able to absolutely cane around Red Bull. So he's not out of this race yet. He's going to be nice and tight, back up with the pack before we get to see the restart. He's going to have some cars to make his way through. He will be seen at the back of the pack. As at the time that the safety car was called, they'll be held to the positions that they were in. He did go off track and was sitting aside. Matt Tesserio currently already in position. Looks like he's being moved up as well. So we don't have live race control, it is all done by the sim. So the drivers do have to follow the directions that the game's giving. So it's also directing him to go around. Gallon, a throttle, it was fairly full throttle into the back of Stephen. So it'll be a hefty penalty to start the opening round. Be an interesting one to go through and review in detail. And it will be good for Stephen, being a clear track out there at this stage. He's going to be able to really push this car, get it into those corners, get these tyres up the tent, where these guys are going to be actually probably burning a little bit more fuel and then starting off with cold tyres. Now we have Matt and Stephen Banks caught up to lap 4. So the safety car removing that disadvantage, and the safety car is in. Stephen's a little ways away to catch up, as well as Matt. They're a couple of corners away to commencing this. Race control has been given back to Sebastian. Green flag is waved. Sebastian gets off to a blisteringly quick restart. Sebastian is fantastic at the restarts. He seems to be able to get a lot of pace. Vijay Schultz comes through turn 1 very quickly. Close that gap. Aaron Maguire and Cullen Hodgkinson. No, it's Blake Urquhart that was side by side after turn 2. Tony Vassell's just passed Philip Buckland. It's a nice inside line. And looks like Sebastian may be having a little bit of a battle on his hands very shortly. Jai's quickly closing in on him. Stephen Banks has already moved back up into 12th position. Daniel Gomes just in the pits. Not sure if he's actually just decided to head in there. I'm seeing a pit count of 3 currently. Sebastian pulls away on the straight. The battle going on for position 8. Philip Buckland, Matt Hardigan and Corey Brand. All's pretty tight. All 8 temps between each other. Flat stick down, main straight. Matt goes for inside pass on turn 1. It's not enough to get him, but they're now side by side along the back straight. He's going to be putting himself in a bad position for the next corner. I think Philip's going to hold him here. He's edged himself ahead. Will there be a switch back on the hairpin? No, he holds him at bay. So Matt Hagen moves into 8th position. The race leader Sebastian Van Del managing to pull away from Jai now. I think it may have been a little bit of cold tyres for Sebastian. He seemed to be losing pace in the corners. And we did see Sebastian slightly struggle a little bit whilst the car was out on cold tyres in the practice and qualifying. And once that car was up the temp, he was absolutely carving this track up. Beautiful wide line for the final corner. Carrying heaps of speed down the pit straight, pulling away from Jai. He's now got a 2.1 second lead. This is where he still pulled away from Jai, but Jai quickly closed in last time. Sebastian is holding him at bay now and furthering that lead. Corey Brand looking to position for a pass on the inside in turn 1. Stephen Banks in pits at the moment. It may very well be getting some fuel. It's right at the 24-minute mark, so we're nearing the halfway point. So filling up at this stage will get the car through the remainder of the race. So an early pit strategy may be a good idea, especially having been pushed to the back of the track after that incident on lap 1. A little bit of spacing going for the race lead. Corey Brand still looking to get around. Oh, I think that was a tap. And Corey Brand did give it a tap. He slowed down to redress. That's going to cost him a fair bit of time as that's fully turned Philip Buckland around. Corey's slowing to be able to redress that position. As it's a hefty 60 points for a no redress. Or a minor incident like that is only usually about 12 points, if anything at all, depending on the situation. And Matt currently 2 laps down. He has been in and having to pit with that repair. It's a brilliant line out of that corner. Sebastian still flying ahead now, pushing that lead by 3.3 seconds. And Jai still pushing away from position 3. And that's held by Blake Urquhart. He's made his way up through the rungs. Back out on track. Corey did try and redress that situation, but he was having trouble getting that car back on track. Trey Mortensen in position 9. He's about 5 seconds away from Matt Hardigan. Stephen Banks just in behind him. Stephen currently a lap down from the rest of the racing there, so not racing for position there. He's got some ground to cover, but he did go in and fuel up. So Stephen sitting only a lap down and in position 13 by the time the rest of the cars head into the pits to be able to get the remaining loads of fuel to finish the course of the race. He's going to recover several positions fairly quickly. Then towards the back end of the race, that car's probably going to be feeling very nimble, very light. And that's trying to close that gap in on Tony Vaselis. See Stephen pushing huge pace there, looking to unlap himself. Nice and easy to spot these guys' new race team with Full Throttle Racing. Ferrari looks great in the white. I think that's a green stripe they were saying. My little screen that I'm seeing I can't see. All of you watching the broadcast will probably get a better view than what I do currently. JK Gamer hosting the stream. Thanks very much, JK. Look at Sebastian really flying ahead. He's got a 6.6 second lead. He's led for 10 laps of 10. We've just reached halfway point, so there's 20 minutes, just under 20 minutes remaining for the race. Jai looking to try and hang on to that gap, but he's slowly being pulled away from Sebastian, and Blake edging closer and closer. Last laps around, Sebastian set a 1:34.39. Jai set a 1:31.255 and Blake a 1:36.38. So at this pace, Blake's going to be closing down on Jai very quickly. He's got about 2.5 seconds until he catches up. Oh no, just had a little bit of a blink and Stevens back in the pits. Can't see anything on the incident record. What's going on for him? No off tracks, but he may have made some more contact. So it's showing a very long pit stop, so that means he's possibly towed the car. Yeah, and shame, Nate, that we didn't get to see you on track, getting your headset all sorted for the race. Tonight's race would be in a crack of a race, being in these cars around Red Bull. And for those of you that are just joining us for the stream, do jump in the chat, say hello. Hit that follow button if you haven't done so already. I think we did just break the 180 follower mark tonight, so that's pretty awesome to see that figure. Myself and all our members appreciate all the support we get for Apex Esports League. This is going to be a great series to wrap up 2021. And there's plenty of racing action to see. We've got the GT4 series starting on Project Cars 2 this Thursday night. Blake still starting to close that gap in on Jai. However, Jai's last lap a little bit quicker than the previous few laps. He's gotten it down from 1:31s down to the 1:30s, but he's still 4 tenths of a little bit slower than Blake's pace. There's a little bit of a cleansing going on around the track. There must have been a tow for Stephen. He's currently in 14th position. Not a good way to start the opening round. Very unfortunate for Stephen Banks. At least he's decided just to pull up in there and grab himself a zinger burger. Heading in and starting to get some fuel now. Our race leaders are possibly going to be looking at trying to pit very soon. So seeing about 16 to 17 seconds for a splash of fuel. It's unlikely the drivers would need tyres. And some lap traffic. Matt Hardigan currently in 11th position. Blake needing to get around the blue flag shown. Nicely done. Matt moving over, very good position. So the two managed to be able to keep very good pace. Jai now trailing by 8.7 seconds. There's a lot of debris out on that exit curb. You can see a cloud of dust as they go over the sand. Callan currently in 4th position. Aaron Maguire in 5th. Russell Gander a little ways back but not too far away. Let's see Blake hunting down Jai. You can see him just ahead. Track temperatures increased a couple of degrees. Humidity has dropped slightly. Still remains partly cloudy conditions. And the chopper chasing Blake as he's trying to hunt down Jai. Both being very similarly paced at this stage. Last lap's 131.365 and a 131.051. I think the 6 gear in 236 I think he hit before getting on the anchors. Jai just only around each corner. Up on that curb, making a heck of a lot of noise. Looks like he's on for a cracker of a lap. Blake's made his way through the rungs pretty well through the race. We're going to have to see him head into the pits within the next couple of laps, I would imagine. This car's going to start getting fairly light. Blake mentioning in Discord just before the race, he hasn't really done much on this track, especially in this car. For that second last corner. Lap time of 1:32. Jai's lap was a 1:31, almost flat. So we started to see him pull away a little bit over the course of that lap. Sebastian having led for the full 16 laps. He's got some more traffic coming up. I think that's Daniel Gomes' car. Daniel currently in 8th position. Callan just having a little bit of a blink. A little bit slippery as he drops that back off on the track. A little bit of debris thrown out across the track. Sebastian still doing some very consistent lap times out there. It's going to be a great race for Sebastian if he can hold out for another 10.5 minutes. I think Sebastian may have the fastest lap of the race. I'm not actually getting proper lap data. Oh, it's been, I can just hear a hit. I think that's Daniel Gomes. He's just gone for a spin. just see what went on with him there. What caused that spin for him. May have turned in. That curb. Again, you can see it's very bumpy. And then made that car lose traction hitting that curb, and you could hear just the noise as the cars go over the ripple strips. They are quite aggressive. And looks like Stephen may have actually parked it up for the session. That's unfortunate. So maybe spotting for Corey at this stage. So you can leave the car in the pits and exit the car and be able to sit in and watch any of the drivers out on track. I think that's Matt Hardigan just... No, is that Tony Vaselis? Not sure who that is actually behind him. Doesn't look like they're racing for position. Blake still trying to make his way up. Looks like he's just lost a position to Callan, who was closing in. We'll jump back and just see where he lost that position. So we'll have to rewind, probably a little bit. Make ourselves a little bit nauseous. So he dropped off a lot of speed, lets Callan go through. Not sure if that's a fuel conservation or if he may have actually rammed wide. He may have been issued a slowdown. It's definitely cost him. If we see him peeling, we haven't seen him peel off into the pits. So it's not a fuel issue. May have had a slowdown that he had to abide by. And Sebastian still having a massive lead. That has slowly started to close in a little. It's down to 6.6 seconds. There's some traffic for Jai to get around. He's now catching up to Daniel Gomes. Aaron Maguire now catching up and passing Blake. Not sure what's going on with Blake at the moment. Not sure if he's having issues with the car, but he's lost a lot of speed. There's only 6 minutes remaining to the race. I'm not sure if he is going to try and conserve fuel and see if he can stay out on the track. So Sebastian and Jai have been out there putting a fair bit of pace consistently. Jai is going for an inside line on turn 1. So there's only a few more laps left in this race. And can they last out enough fuel to get through? It's on board with Jai Schultz as he's quickly chasing down Sebastian. Sebastian's last lap was a 1:37. Jai's a 1:31. Ferrari absolutely screaming along that mid straight. And goes Jai into the pits. So needing that fuel. Perhaps that reduced pace that we're seeing from Sebastian and Blake being a strategic move. I think they're going to try and last this car out. They're going to be scraping it very close for fuel. It could potentially be running out on that last straight. That's Daniel Gomes just ahead of Sebastian. Daniel currently in position 7. If Daniel can keep an alright pace, because he's got 27 seconds over Jai now, who's been in, got the fuel and back out on track. So there's no holding back for Jai. If Sebastian does need to go into the pits, this is where Jai could definitely take the race lead just within the last couple of laps. We see Sebastian head off into the pits. In he goes. It's going to have to be quick. Jai is only 28 seconds away. This is going to be the decider as to who takes the win here. Sebastian's in. He's got to be in and out super quick. Here comes Jai, second last corner. There's the pit entrance. Sebastian's is the very last bay in he is. And away he goes. Well, I think Jai's going to get him on the straight. They're going to be racing out onto turn 1. Sebastian just gets back into the lead. He's going to be able to block him for the race line. Not even needing to block, just gets out 2 seconds ahead. It's going to be enough to be able to keep the momentum next. There's no holding back for Sebastian. He's got enough fuel to go through. He does not have to try and conserve fuel. He can just absolutely put the boot down and let that Ferrari fly ahead like he did for the entirety of the race until those last couple of laps. Blake Urquhart still not being into the pits, heavily conserving. He's dropping a couple of spots. He's 2 seconds away from Russell Gander. So the car in between them is actually a lap down. I think that's Philip Buckland that's in between them. So at this point in the race, Blake will just be tucking in. He's got Callan Hodgkinson sitting right on his tail. Blue flag being shown. Philip moving over. Oh, no, I'm not sure who that is. It's actually just slowed all the way down at the back. Oh no, I think Russell's run out of fuel. He hasn't been into the pits. It sounds like it's spluttering. Oh, he's ran out of fuel. And it's going to be on the last lap. Can he get it into the pits? It's unfortunate. Sebastian not holding up at all, absolutely flying out ahead. Now put 3.2 seconds over Jai. We'll see the white flag shown. It's possibly even just straight to the checkers, depending on where Sebastian is, as with the timed race. It goes by a hosted session, and he's a fair way from the start. Yeah, so this will be white flag shown, and this will be the final lap. And Sebastian, having led for 23 laps, and about to take the checkered home on the 23rd lap. Doesn't have too far to go. Only a crucial error here will be his downfall. He doesn't need to push it too hard on the last corner. And give a cheer for Sebastian, taking the checkers in the opening round of the Pagnian Imports Ferrari 488 Championship. Well done, Sebastian. Jai Schultz taking position 2 on the podium for his debut. Well done. Blake, who was conserving for quite some time, is in position 3. He's going to be using these last drops of fuel just to get him across the line and onto the podium. Well played. No pit stop. Is himself and Russell only drivers not to actually pit. And Russell unfortunately running out of fuel, but we have Sebastian Vandel winning the opening round. Congratulations to Sebastian, and we'll bring up those results. Looks like Sebastian is going to be doing some burnout victory burnouts in the background as we look at the results. So we have Sebastian taking victory, Jai Schultz taking second, and Blake Urquhart in third. And the rest of the standings is Kellen Hodgkinson, Aaron Maguire, Daniel Gomes, Matt Hardigan, Corey Brand, Tony Vaselis, if I don't stutter on that one, Philip Buckland, Troy Mortensen, Russell Ganner, Matt Tessero, and Stephen Banks, who did park that car up towards the back end. And we'll just quickly hide that while we see Sebastian just absolutely smoking it up, and we will try and cross over and get them onto the Discord, see if they've actually jumped in. We've got Blake. Sebastian's still busy doing those burnouts. I will just unmute Blake. And Blake.
Hey, mate.
Congratulations on the podium.
Only just, mate, only just.
Yeah, we saw you dropping back pretty quickly, losing a lot of pace, giving away a lot of positions. And I was like, I think he's conserving fuel here. So managing to get through with no fuel.
Yeah, literally, I sort of started earlier. I knew I sort of started earlier. I started a bit late. As I said to Seb, I think we need to start fuel saving now, especially he had a great lead. So, you know, gets a bit of the pressure off him. But, yeah. Just as we just finished off the line, it was 0.1 and started carrying on, so I had to clutch it halfway during the last lap as well. So, but
yeah.
Other than that, good race at the podiums and the guys who raced tonight.
Yeah, and I think you're quite lucky getting bunched up in all that traffic for a good while as well, to be able to try and save every bit of that fuel.
Yeah, I think that probably helped on the last lap for me, especially running out.
Yeah, because we saw Sebastian duck into the pits super quick right towards the end there. And then we've got Sebastian in here as well, so congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thank you.
So there's very close at the end. You're actually racing Jai out of the pits, just coming out 2 seconds, just out of turn 1, coming onto the last lap, so it was getting very close.
Yeah, it was close. I just had to pit for a bit of fuel, but I almost fuel saved enough.
Yeah, no, that was a great win. Led for the full 24 laps out on the track, so, and even with the restart early on, getting ahead nice and quickly.
Yeah, I had a good lead, and then safety car got caught out, and I'm like, oh no. But built up the lead. I think I had 8 seconds, and then Blake's like, we can make it if we fuel save. So I tried to fuel save a bit, but I just didn't have enough in the end.
Yep. And congratulations, Jai, taking podium on the debut.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
You know, chasing down Sebastian, as we were just saying, racing him down pit straight as he'd gone in for the fuel. Seeing you sneak in, and we did see Sebastian starting to drop about 6 seconds off his lap times, trying to conserve that fuel just as you went in. And then it was going to be a very close battle, so only just finishing 3.6 seconds away, so well done.
Yeah, no, just assumed that everyone was going to have to pit, so I was just going flat chat, and then yeah, it came up that I had five laps left to run, and I'm like, oh, maybe not.
But it paid off. It's a good way to start the opening round.
Yeah, it was definitely surprising, but no, good racing.
That's good. Glad you enjoyed it.
As always, JT, cheers for putting the league on again, mate, for the GTEs. Yeah, GT3, sorry.
Yep,
And
no worries.
looking forward for it.
Yep, it'll be good to see you out there at Laguna Seca next week.
Sure will, mate. Cheers.
Congratulations, guys.
Thanks.
There we have our podium finishes for round 1 of the Pagnian Imports Ferrari 488 Championship. Sebastian Van Dil taking victory, Jai Schultz in position 2 and Blake Urquhart in position 3. And next week for round 2 we do have WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca, so it's going to be some very tight, fast racing in the Ferrari 488s around Laguna Seca. So if you haven't done so yet, do hit that follow button so you can be notified when we go live. And then if you want more racing action, we've got the opening round of Project Cars 2 this Thursday night, 7:30 PM. That's in the GT4s, so we're going to see a great mix of cars and a lot of close, tight racing. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you trackside next time.